Welcome to Line by Line Switzerland as we study traffic on the main line southeast of the capital city, Zurich. We also call into a busy passenger and freight location near to Zurich's main freight yard. We begin part one of the programme looking at the section of line between Zargans and Müllerhorn on the route north to Zeigelbrücke, the whole line forming the main route between Zurich and the provincial town of Chur. The map here shows the general region covered, as well as Kilwangen, just northwest of the capital city, indicated by the red circle. We chose a number of locations on or close to stations along the route, beginning in the southeast part of the line at Zargans, moving in a northwesterly direction towards the capital. Part 1 looks at the line between Zargans and Müllerhorn, where we call in at the locations shown, including Mels and Fluns. We begin at Zargans on the morning of Sunday the 4th of September 2022. Our three locations are shown here. Arriving with the 0612 from Zurich to Chur is unit number 526106. The driver of Class 502 unit number 009 restarts his train as it forms the 708 from Chur to Basel. The 1,830 metre high Gonsen mountain dominates the scene. Class 502 units work the through services between Basel, Zurich and Chur, so new units appear every hour in each direction until they begin to repeat themselves on the diagrams. This is set number 4 on the 638 from Zurich. Every 2 hours in each direction are Austrian railjet services, formed with Class 1116 electrics and dedicated push-pull stock. This is 1116-11 on a service bound for Vienna. There are very few loco-hauled trains now on the route down to Chur, with just a handful operating each day, mainly with Class 420 locos providing the power. This is 11191 on the 703 service from Zurich to Chur. The Class 420s also work the remaining local hauled services between Switzerland and the neighbouring country of Austria. These are normally overnight sleeper trains, and the daytime train to them from Zurich and Graz. The previous day's 1810 sleeper service from Zagreb to Zurich arrives at the platforms behind 11143. Moving slightly to the south of the station, we see again the Gonsen Mountain, as 502023 begins to build up speed, forming the 633 from Basel to Chur. The line here was opened north towards Zeigelbrücke on the 15th of February 1859, as far as Murg, with the route towards Wiesen and Zeigelbrücke opening on 1st of July that same year. This is turbo-operated Class 526 unit number 776. Sister unit number 766 arrives forming the 831 from Chur. Just opposite our filming location was this mobile power transformer on a wagon with 4 axles at each end to take the weight. Südostbahn operate many local services in the area, including the hourly service from Uznach and Buchs. Here 526061 heads south with the 0818 from Uznach. Trains were passing our camera position about every 10 minutes or so. Therefore you never get bored. And of course there's also the wonderful mountain scenery to look at. 502006 forms the 733 from Basel to Chur. I suppose the only downside these days is that most trains are formed of units, rather than the loco-hauled trains we were so accustomed to not so many years ago. One of the highlights of the early morning is the 8:41 service from Zurich to Graz in Austria. This train is diagrammed for a pair of Class 420s as far as Buchs. The locos will then bring the corresponding return working back to Zurich in the late afternoon. One loco that has been avoiding our filming ever since we started in Europe is number 11109 in grey and orange Swiss Express livery. Here it is paired with 11157, which was leading. It's time to leave Zargans now, as we begin to make our journey northwards towards Vardensville near Zurich. First stop is at Mels, which isn't that far away from where we have just been. As mentioned, local stopping services are operated by Südostbahn, a company formed in 2002 after the merger of the Bodensee-Toggenburg and the already existing Südostbahn, which then ran from Rapperswil to Ortgoldau. (526-119) and 526-002 are new Traverso train sets, which replaced older stock from 2019 onwards. The train is the 638 from Bern to Chur. Class 502s have taken over from Class 460 locomotives on the through trains between Basel and Chur. This one is set number 502006, which we saw in the programme a little earlier. An interesting comparison here of a going away and coming towards you shot. Our previous train is passed by 502021 and 502007, paired up on the 833 from Basel to Chur. The main A3 motorway is on the right. Time to move on once again, and just over 7 kilometres away to our next location at the station at Flums. The station here is 46 metres below that at Mels, so a gradual reduction in height as the railway follows the valley of the river Sietz, which flows nearby. Arriving from the south is Südostbahn's 526054 with the 1038 service from Buchs. The unit is a flirt type, being built by Stadler and delivered in 2013. This is the 1040 Zurich to Budapest, powered by Austrian Electric, number 1116216. The lakeside station at Müllerhorn is our next stop, situated right next to Vardensville, a 15-kilometre long lake with steep sides. It has an average depth of 115 metres. Heading out of the nearby Karenzeberg double-track tunnel is Class 502, number 006, operating the 832 from Geneva to Chur. (526.063) is next to arrive on the 1138 from Buchs to Uznach. The only trains to stop here are those operated by Südostbahn on the books to Usnack and return S-Bahn services, with the first calling at 05:25 in the morning and the last just after midnight, and this is 7 days per week. This is set number 526047. We are now on the very edge of the Zurich S-Bahn system, and as such we can now see SBB units allocated to such services. Leaving the tunnel is unit number 514038, with the 1111 from Winterthur to Unterterzen, which is located just a few kilometres east of here. Südostbahn's 526105 is working the 1216 from Chur to Bern. The copper and black coloured livery on these units is quite striking. Within 15 minutes of first seeing it, unit number 514038 is returning with the 1303 from Unterterzen to Winterthur. One type of train set we haven't seen so far is the German ICE. One through train each way per day from Chur and on into Germany is formed of these train sets, such as the one seen here, number 9460, forming train EC70, the 1235 from Chur to Berlin. Finally, it's the turn of 526060, working the 1238 service from Buchs to Usnack. In the second part of this programme, we cover the stretch of line from Ziegelbrücke to Vardensville, which is situated on the shores of the Zurich Sea. The map shows the various locations visited, starting at Ziegelbrücke and heading west towards Pfaffikon and then onwards to Vardensville. Ziegelbrücke is the first major railway location that we come across after leaving Zargans, it being on the junction with the S-Bahn branch down to Limmattal, the branch to Zürich, as well as a location where trains are stored in between the main rush hours. We chose a spot just north and west of the platforms. The line between here and Zurich was opened by the Swiss Northeastern Railway in 1875. Prior to this, the through route to Chur tracked along the northern shores of Lake Zurich Sea via Rapperswil. Class 514s work most of the daytime S-Bahn services, whilst during the busier periods Class 450 train sets are drafted in to increase the frequency of services, a few of which are seen stabled in the background. The junction of tracks to the north can produce what appears to be a conflicting move, as two trains here parallel each other into the station. It looks spectacular, but thankfully the trains didn't actually touch each other. (526-117) heads out of the station, forming the 1316 Chur to Bern. Another 514 unit, this time number 047, arrives with the 1241 from Winterthur to Ziegelbrücke. This is the 1233 from Basel, made up of two Class 502 sets, the first, number 401, being one of the shorter 4-car variants. Number 502004 is on the rear. Heading in a westerly direction, we come to the shared station at Kilwangen, which serves two nearby settlements. We chose a pair of locations around the station. The first is to the east and the next close to the main station platforms. Heading west is 1116203, powering the 0538 from Bratislava to Zurich. By now the terrain has changed, with the mountains giving way to a wide open valley featuring small settlements and expansive areas of grassland. This stretch of line boasts an hourly local service to Winterthur via the capital, as well as the hourly Basel service, the hourly Bern service, and Eurocity and other intercity services operating between Zurich and Chur, and of course vice versa. This is unit number 526111. Some of the Bern services operated by Südostbahn become busy and are therefore boosted by the addition of another Class 526 4-car unit, such as seen here. The 8-car Class 526 is essentially two 4-car units permanently coupled together, with the two driving cabs designed out. Class 420 number 11116 has been enjoying the day shuttling between Zurich and Chur. Here it returns to the capital with the 1337 departure. Altendorf is one of the many suburban towns that are situated along the edges of the lakes to the southeast of Zurich and in prime commuter land. Our map shows the town's position, where we set up on the south side of the platforms looking east for our first scene. Rounding the curve is Class 450 train set number 450026, working the 1442 from Limmattal to Zurich. There's not much freight along this line, particularly at weekends. However, they do appear, and one of the most regular is the Red Bull soft drink trains from Buchs to destinations in northern Germany. Heading one such train are DB Cargo's 185116 and 185130, seen just before 4 p.m. in the afternoon. This is 502004 and 502201, returning from Chur. It's time to move on again now, and to the junction station at Pfäffikon, where two single-track lines meet up with our featured main line towards Zurich. We will also travel a couple of kilometres to the west to see trains through the station at Richtersville. We begin though at Pfäffikon, at the west end of the platforms, as Südostbahn's 526005 prepares to leave with a service for Einzeldaun. Looking west, we have 514031, slowing for the station stop, with the 1511 from Winterthur to Zeigelbrücke. The Class 514s were the first double-deck units built by Siemens back at the start of 2006. 61 units are in the fleet and are used extensively around the Zurich commuter area. It's now time for some Class 420 action, as number 11143 heads east, with the 1603 from Zurich to Chur. In the opposite direction comes 11141. We move to Richtersville now, and a pair of Class 502 sets are passed by a Class 450 train set heading in the opposite direction. Two police officers patrol the distant platforms as we await the passage of Austrian Class 1116 electric number 203, working a Zurich to Vienna railjet service. There are also one or two diagrams on this route that bring Class 460 locomotives to the line, mainly on the Zurich to Chur intercity shuttles. We conclude our look at the Zurich to Chur main line at the delightful location at Vardensville, next to the edge of Lake Zürich. Dropping down the steeply graded line from Biberbrug, we have Südostbahn Class 526 unit number 052 on a service from Einsaldown. The line has gradients as severe as 5%, which is pretty taxing for any train travelling on this route. Class 450 powered train sets were first introduced back in 1989, and 114 were subsequently delivered through to 1997. They work exclusively on local S-Bahn services around Zurich. The power is provided by the Mini Class 450 locomotive, which has a 1-hour rating of 3,200 kilowatts. 46076 wasted no time at Zurich's main station before returning with the 1813 service to Chur. Time for a bit more freight and a pair of RE66 Class 620s, numbers 15 and 30, on what looks like another Red Bull soft drinks train from Books. This is 11143. Lake Zurich is a prominent feature around here. The waters stretch for 40 kilometres in length, some 3 kilometres wide, and has an average depth of 49 metres, with 136 metres being its deepest part. And would you know it takes roughly 440 days for water to travel from when it enters the lake to when it leaves. With the sun sinking in the sky and the shadows getting longer, number 45063 makes a steady approach as it heads a stopper bound for Zurich. This is 1116204 with a service for Salzburg. There are regular ferries such as this that call at many towns along and across the lake. Finally, the train we've been waiting for most of the day, which was the return Graz to Zurich Eurocity service, powered by a pair of Class 420s, with of course Swiss Express liveried 11109 leading. It's time to turn the action up a notch now as we travel to the suburban station serving two local communities to the northwest of Zurich, at Kilwangen Breitenbach. The station is on the busy main line linking Zurich with Basel, Bern and onwards to Lausanne and Geneva. We were unfortunately denied taking our big camera onto the platforms, so we chose a location at the north end of the station on the south side of the rails, as can be seen here on our map. In addition to a wide variety of passenger traffic, the station is just north of and on the approaches to Zurich's Limmattal marshalling yard, and sees regular freight and locomotive movements. First up, it is the turn of an old school Class 560 unit on the 832 from Muri to Zurich. After arriving with a train from Schaffhausen, these three Class 450 depart with a service bound for Brugg. Another train type now in the shape of 511046. These 6-car units were built from 2010 onwards by Stadler for use on regional trains around Zurich. Another batch of 4-car train sets can be seen at work around Lausanne and Geneva. Our first freight train sees 484014, heading for Limmattal Yard. This is 11130 on the 859 Zurich to Basel. Class 460 are still common through here. The 748 from Romanshorn to Brieg sees 460-010 on point, with 460-041 bringing up the rear. This is 460-015. The distant headlights of 843088 can be seen here, as it works north on a cement train bound for Limmattal. (620-074) heads along the same tracks, with a northbound freight at just before 0930 in the morning of Monday the 5th of September 2022. Following along behind, we have a pair of Class 620s in the shape of 620-058 and 081. This location sees train movements every couple of minutes or so. In this scene we have 460-101 working a Basel to Zurich service. In the opposite direction, TGV set number 4723 forms the 934 from Zurich to Paris. Four 450-110 arrives with one of the hourly local services between Brugg and Schaffhausen. A German ICE set overtakes in the background. Six 20-065 slows with a lengthy set of box wagons bound for the nearby Limmattal yard. The Class 620 have dwindled in number over the past few years, especially since the opening of the new Gotthard base tunnel, where their power for climbing mountain lines has largely been made superfluous. They now find themselves on local and inter-regional freight trains, mainly in the north of the country. Here we have 11114. Diesel loco number 843088 has dropped its rake of cement wagons off at Limmattal and is seen making its way back south. The 848 from Schaffhausen to Brugg pulls into the platforms formed by Class 450 train sets number 057 and 098. ICE set number 9026 is about to pass through, forming the 959 from Zurich to Berlin. Such through services to and from Germany run about every 3 hours in each direction. This is 620022. (420-503) is the X11119 and is seen here heading south light engine. 460-037 and 620-034 are also seen in this view. 500-031 forms the 839 from Rorschach to Geneva Airport. Our final three shots are all of freight trains. Here number 620034 departs with its featherweight load. Next we see 484, 019 and 009 paired up on another northbound freight. The 484s used to roam much further afield, but in recent years they have been used more and more on domestic freight services. We hope that you have enjoyed our journey from Zargans to Vardensville along through the mountain scenery and the shores of the various lakes, and of course to here, the busy location at Kilwangen. Our final image is of another Red Bull soft drinks train bound for Bremen, behind DB cargo locos numbers 185102 and 137. As the train heads north, we would like to thank you for watching this programme.